In 2014, a man in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, his name's Gary Howard, was sentenced to 18 years without the possibility of parole for possessing 18 grams of marijuana. The case recently made its way to the Louisiana Supreme Court and was upheld, but Chief Justice Bernette Johnson called the sentence ridiculous and castigated her colleagues who affirmed that sentence. Howard had a past criminal history. It included possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, but 18 years for 18 grams of pot, a year per gram, with no parole for marijuana possession, no consideration for good behavior in prison, maybe getting out somewhat earlier, no consideration for rehabilitation during that 18-year sentence, just a cold-blooded, reactionary, sort of like retribution type sentence for non-violent drug possession. And we're talking about marijuana, and he was not caught distributing.
No.
For some people, what I've read on the internet, Pat, I don't know about this, but 18 grams is a weekend for some people. I wouldn't know myself, but I've read that.
No, of course not.
It's enough to fill the bottom of a normal-sized plastic Ziploc bag. If you lay it flat on a table, it's about enough area to cover a dollar bill. But again, I researched all that. I don't know anything about that. Chief Justice Johnson said it was an arbitrary decision to sentence him to a year per gram. She wrote in her dissent, quote, "Legally, the state proved nothing more than simple possession of marijuana in this case. As a practical matter, in light of the inconsequential amount of marijuana found, imprisoning the defendant for this extreme length of time at a cost of about $23,000 per year, costing our state over $400,000 in total, provides little societal value and only serves to further burden our financially strapped state and its taxpayers." Yes, Louisiana is financially strapped. It's also a state with the highest per capita incarceration rate in the country. And there are currently proposed bills in the state legislature in Louisiana that are going to try to reduce incarceration by reforming the habitual offender laws, which would have benefited Mr. Howard in this situation. Rob Smith, who directs the Harvard Law School's Fair Punishment Project, said, quote, "Louisiana law authorizes these draconian sentences that would embarrass its other southern neighbors." There's another problem I want to talk about, and this is not just in Louisiana. With intent to distribute, okay? That's a charge used throughout the country on drug charges, which is very problematic, and it's often applied arbitrarily, like in this case, where there's really no proof that the individual was going to sell the amount of drugs that they had. I actually liken intent to distribute, Pat, with resisting arrest. Resisting arrest is so frequently used, disproportionately so, capriciously so, with racial overtones and in so many other discriminatory ways. And intent to distribute is similar in the drug world to resisting arrest.
It's an easy charge to add on, isn't it? You know, it's a great thing in the U.S. that we have these diverse states and there's different cultures and laws in between all of them.
Sure.
But it's just crazy to me how in some states, if you're over 21, you can go into a shop and buy marijuana.
Right.
And in other states, you get 18 years for 18 grams.
It's a patchwork that makes absolutely no sense. We know which direction we should be moving in. Attorney General Jeff Sessions wants us moving in the other direction to unify marijuana law around the country. And just when you hear about this, 18 years for 18 grams, something is just fundamentally wrong with our system. And lots of people are making money on this. Remember, the South particularly, I'm not saying Howard specifically will go to a for-profit prison. There are not that many. Nationwide, only like 9% of prisoners are in for-profit prisons. But in certain areas, they get a lot of the really profitable sentences.
Right. You can make money off of marijuana in two ways if you're a state. One is via for-profit prisons, and the other one is via tax revenues. I think it's pretty clear which one we should choose.
Yes, especially when the tax revenues from legalized marijuana can then be used for public health programs, education, etc.